So Blade and Sorcery recently got an update which adds new weapons and armor to the game. Just so happens that these Rakta items are basically just Japanese-inspired weaponry, which not only means that yes, katanas are finally in the vanilla game, but if you used all of this equipment, you can effectively become a ninja or samurai or shinobi or shogun or whatever the hell you want to call it. So today, I'm going to attempt to beat the entirety of Crystal Hunt using only the new Reich items. Let's get into it. Starting out, I make my character, who, might I say, has an incredible beard. Now, upon spawning, I check the Baron, and this is where we run into our first issue. You can't really get any Rakta weapons until a little later in the game, so here's the plan. I'm going to basically do a fists only run without armor until I can buy Rakta equipment, and then after that, that's all I can use. And yes, before you mention it, I know that the shurikens are there and purchasable. But not only are they way too expensive, I don't want to have to only use throwing items, that would suck. Also, I didn't realize until later on, there are actually other weapons that I could have gotten earlier, I just didn't realize they were the Rakta weaponry, so don't flame me for it, okay? But before we get into the first dungeon, I gotta pay the bills. This message is sponsored by Raycon. We're coming into the holiday season and Raycon's everyday earbuds are the perfect gift for basically anyone with a smartphone. They sound fantastic, the battery lasts all day and then some with 32 hours of battery life, and they stay comfortable no matter how long you wear them. Over 4 million people already have a pair, so if you've been on the fence about them, right now is the time to get some. For Black Friday and Cyber Monday, Raycon are offering up to 30% off of all their products. These can make the perfect gift either for someone special or yourself. But I get it, you want to hear the real good stuff. The everyday earbuds are affordable and packed with great features like active noise cancellation, multi-point connectivity, which means you can pair them to 2 devices at once, and a comfortable, ergonomic fit that actually stays in your ears no matter what you're doing. Now, I'm a simple guy, so I just chose black, but Raycons come in some really cool colors like blush violet and cool mint, meaning there's a style that will suit anyone out there. I've been working on a project car recently, and Raycons have made listening to my favorite songs while bending down in an engine bay easier than ever. They are genuinely some of the best earbuds I've had the pleasure of listening to, so click the link in the description or head to buyraycon.com/ZekePlays to get up to 30% off Raycon's Black Friday and Cyber Monday sale. It supports the channel a bunch. Huge thanks to Raycon for sponsoring this video. So without further ado, let's start the first dungeon. I try to sneak and be like water, however it turns out I'm much better at being rock. I'm also an idiot and didn't record the game audio for this first recording. It'll come in later, I promise. Gameplay here is a little weird for me. Not only has it been a long time since I've properly played through Blade and Sorcery, as many of you keep reminding me about, but I also didn't realize how much I relied on the slow motion in order to do cool shit. Starting out Crystal Hunt without it has made me a better player and somehow more brutal because you gotta do what you can to survive when you don't have any magic or slow-mo to rely on. But with that being said, the first couple of dungeons went pretty smoothly. Beating this game fists only is something that I am very accustomed to, and coming back to this game with fresh eyes after so long has made this way more fun. Between every dungeon, I would go and check out the Baron to see if he was selling any Rakta equipment, but to no avail. I mean, yeah, the shurikens, but not only would that drain me of all my money, which would stop me from getting a better weapon if one does appear, it would also mean that I have to beat entire dungeons with only a shitty throwing item. I'm not good at that, okay? Anyway, first Dalgarian Ruin. I was wanting the tender touch of a woman, but accidentally cooked her well done, and from here I basically just blitz these fools. We all know that the Dalgarian Ruins aren't really that difficult if you know the layout of the rooms, so after a few smackdowns, I present to you the first boss. I picked the body stone to start off with, as I don't think I'm going to be using any magic in this run, including slow motion, but I think having some extra perks to help me with physical combat could be really useful. Well, there will be some magic later on, but only in very specific circumstances. So, 1 golem down, 5 more to go, and I still don't have a weapon. You know, this could maybe be my training arc, like One Punch Man training with all the weights on, so once he takes them off, he's super powerful or whatever, except instead of training my combat with weights on, it's just my fat ass flailing my arms around in my room in a slightly different way. Instead of doing a normal dungeon, I try a wave mode on Citadel. This was pretty fun. It didn't really pay that well, especially compared to an outpost, but it was a good break from seeing the same rooms constantly. The sandbox maps need a little love too. After this, I do 2 more dungeons, same old, same old. Still no weapon, so I kinda wanna speed this up until the run actually starts. Next Elgarian, I cosplayed Icarus and tried to reach the sun. We all know how this story ends though. I speedrun my way through, literally ignoring everything and just looting from time to time until I reach the boss. This was pretty straightforward, only difference this time is its ability to throw shit at me like a pissed off chimp now. Got the body stone again, invested in some perks, and finally, upon visiting the Baron, I get my first proper weapon, the Sunderer. Oh baby, they don't know what's coming to them. The weights have come off. It's time to party. Oh, hey Clarence. I'll leave you here this time, but I'll be back for you eventually, okay? After clearing that dungeon, I was able to purchase a sword catcher from Baron, otherwise known as Raphael's knife thing. Hell yeah. Now I can be sneaky and I have the big guns for when shit goes south. This run is finally starting to come together. Now all I need is the katana and some armor, then I'll be unstoppable. But as it turns out, getting that katana and armor would be quite the challenge. I thought that maybe more Rukta items spawning was locked behind buying the ones you already have access to, but I later found out that is not the case. It is pure luck. I ended up buying another sword catcher so that I can dual wield those baddies, and I do yet another wave survival mode on Citadel, just to warm up for the day. This was a 2-skull one, so the pay was a little better. My main goal now that I have some weapons is to save as much as possible while constantly checking the Baron to see if he has any more items for me. While I was at the Baron's, I decided to go and grab the falchion to see if he would buy it off me. He wouldn't, so now I'm stuck with it. Oh well, I just won't have it in my loadout and pretend it doesn't exist. Anyway, let's do some more outposts. My playstyle throughout most of this run was a weird mix between ninja and samurai. God, that sounds so fucking corny, but considering the challenge, that's literally what this is, okay? When I could, I would sneak as much as possible and do silent takedowns on people with my sword catcher, but when I got caught, I'd whip out the big guns and get to chopping. It's super effective. One thing I really enjoy about Crystal Hunt is all the little hidden areas behind doors or in places you usually walk past that have bits of loot you can sell. It's super basic, but it adds a really nice collectathon element to every outpost to try and make the most out of each one. Another shop visit and still no armor or new weapons. I sell off my loot and go into the next Algarian ruin. Here's a little montage. I once again got the body stone, and now that I'm 3 ruins down, that marks the halfway point for the game. It's here that I decide I want to go for the secret ending, which means that for the next 3 Dalgarian ruins, I'll need to unlock all 3 types of magic. Very doable. Here's another few dungeons. Now this is also where the magic aspect of this run comes in a little. Here is the Dual Crystal Staff. I mostly won't be using it as I have the Swordcatcher and Sundra, but it's very useful in crowd control situations if I imbue it with fire. I sold my second Swordcatcher in favour of getting some shurikens. Eventually I'll get the lightning spell, which means I can make them hone in on enemies after a couple of skill points, but before that I'm just going to attempt to use them normally. Attempt. Onto the next Dalgarian ruin, where I'll be getting the Firestone once completed. In this recording I was running against the clock before my headset went flat, so here's a time lapse of the dungeon. That's 4 dungeons down, 2 more to go. I grab the Firestone, and here I want to make very clear that I'm not going to be using the magic itself as a weapon, as in I can't hurl fireballs at enemies or anything. The only time I can use magic is by imbuing my Reich weapons. And speaking of, I finally have some armor. This Reich helmet was randomly in stock, so I can finally have a little protection. Yeah, that's right, 4 dungeons in and I've been raw dogging this shit. Next outpost goes pretty standard, although I'm a little disappointed that I couldn't open this trapdoor. Like, there's a ladder going right up to it. It's like Chekhov's gun or whatever, I don't know. After that, I check the Baron. Nothing as per usual, but after doing one more outpost, time lapse, I found this behemoth, the Cleaving Staff. Sorry, Mr. Sundra, you did great, but the guy she told you not to worry about is here. Also, I got some more armor, this time the pants and the left gauntlet. This run is really starting to come together. I just need that damn katana. I got to test out the Cleaving Staff on my next outpost, and let me tell you, it slaps. It took me a while to get used to it, as it's a lot bigger than the Sundra, meaning that in smaller spaces it's much harder to maneuver. That being said, that's what I have the Swordcatcher for, but the Cleaving Staff is just that little bit more cumbersome, so I haven't yet gotten the edge alignment and length of it dialed in yet. Plenty of time to do that though. Now I'm on to the next Dalgarian ruin, and here's where we're introduced to the Eye. They are the most powerful faction of enemies you can come across in the game, mostly due to their very good magical abilities and the fact they have really good plate armor. The archers are the absolute worst, as they imbue their arrows with spells that just hurt a fuck ton. Genuinely, the worst enemies to deal with. I am fortunate, however, that my Cleaving Staff has enough weight behind it that even with the plate-wearing enemies, I can just knock them to the ground with a good enough swing, which can make dealing with them a lot easier. But let me tell you, I got tossed around in this dungeon. After that terrible first room, I was left next to no health, with no healing items for the rest of the dungeon. It took me about 5 attempts to beat this dungeon. The first death was to the boss and that bullshit firebomb. Second was also to the boss with a slam attack. Third was, yep, you guessed it, the boss. And, oh look, the boss killed me again. I want to preface that the reason I keep dying is because I'm too stubborn to buy healing items and I don't have a chest piece at all, or boots, because they just haven't shown up. But I decided to finally go and buy some heals, and the next attempt actually went pretty well. Except for some reason when I killed this lady, my Cleaving Staff just straight up disappeared. Genuinely, I looked far and wide, could not find it. Not sure why, but I had to do the rest of the dungeon without it, and that wasn't fun, considering it was the only good weapon I had against enemies with plate armor. It was a struggle, but eventually I got to the boss, and I was not going to die again. I took things nice and slow, making sure to keep my health topped up and just play things safe. It took a while, but I eventually managed to take down the golem, and I picked up the lightning stone. But, oh, wait. This is when the eye invades your home, and I still don't have my cleaving staff. Oh fuck. This is where the crowd control element of the dual staff I mentioned before comes in. Genuinely, I could not believe how effective it was. On my first ever run when I did fists only, I died a few times here. This time, I didn't die once. I was just setting people on fire left, right, and center, and before long, I'd burnt their asses to a crisp. So, I'd go to visit the Baron, and the most tragic thing ever occurs. The chess piece is here, but I can't afford it. I did get the right glove, which is good, and also at some point I got the pauldrons, but I didn't see it while writing this. But either way, I've got the cleaving staff back, and it's time to do the last set of dungeons before we end the game. Considering we're towards the later half of everything, I'm assuming you're going to stick around, so with some dungeon footage in the background, I just want to talk about a couple things. Mainly the reason I took so long to come back to this game. I created this channel back in 2019 after failing a couple of other channels going back to when I was 11 years old. I was mostly a funny moments, variety YouTuber, but I had 200 subscribers before I made the first Blade and Sorcery challenge video, and that was after almost 5 years of trying. The main reason that I made that Blade and Sorcery video was as a tribute to one of my favourite YouTubers, Mitten Squad, after learning that he had passed away around Thanksgiving of 2023. So I thought, what's a game that I like that I've made videos on before that I could do a challenge run is? And of course my first thought was Skyrim, but I didn't want to seem like I was copying him, and for the tribute I wanted to do this in his style, but I didn't want to rip him off. So I chose Blade and Sorcery. And almost overnight, that video got thousands upon thousands of views. I had tapped into a market that no one had really made content for before, and I'm proud and also feel a little weird saying that I inspired a few really cool other creators to start making content. Being a YouTuber has been a dream of mine since I was a kid, and so of course I doubled down and eventually made my own style separate from Mitten Squad, but I was grinding out multiple videos a week in Blade and Sorcery. Spending that many hours in VR almost all the time got very tiring, and I started to get burnt out from the game. I also didn't want to be known as the Blade and Sorcery guy, and I wanted to expand out into other games like Skyrim and stuff, so there was this phase in the middle where I played a couple of other VR games. I made a Ready or Not challenge, which I genuinely think of one of the best videos I've ever made. My script writing was on point back then, but I eventually settled on Skyrim as my main source of content. Now, I'm unfortunately hitting that same wall with Skyrim, and I want to expand again, but I will forever be grateful to Blade and Sorcery for starting my YouTube career, to the point that I literally have the logo to this game tattooed on my arm. But I'm not sure if I can see myself making many more videos in this game going forward. I've kinda done everything there is to do without going completely insane. If you want to see me play this game in a myriad of different ways, just go back in the channel and take a look at my older videos. Anyway, I just wanted to thank you for watching this far. Thanks to all my members, and especially the OGs like Alias, Axolotl, Waluigi, YpsiLonZ, and so many of the others that have supported me in the channel for a long time at this point. And, of course, Liam and Josh West for their incredible support as Insane Person tier members. I love you all. Anyway, with all that sappy shit out of the way, let's beat this thing, okay? I've found some boots, finally, after being barefoot for this entire run. I decided that my shirt looks corny and isn't doing much anyway, so now I'm a hot, sexy samurai man with a vendetta against any wrongdoers and an affinity for any single hot mums in the area. Sorry, that got a little out of hand. Now, technically, I had all the map pieces I needed to do the last Algarian ruin, but it didn't feel right after all this time to not have all of the right equipment. I missed out on the chest piece because I didn't have enough money, and the katana has not spawned once this entire run, I'm not kidding. So I'm gonna need to run through some dungeons and hopefully refresh the shop enough times to get the things I need. I did outposts, I did wave modes, I was getting tired and my headset was running low. I needed this shop to be the one, and they weren't there. Defeated, I go and do the final Dalgarian ruin. I got the Gravity Stone, meaning that now I can get the secret ending, but I just wanted to check one more time at the shop before I ended this. Even if I didn't end up using them, I just wanted to say that I collected them all. And there it was, sitting there in all its glory. The katana. I still couldn't find the chest piece, but to me, just being able to finally use the katana was worth it. And so, here we are, the end of the game. After beating the final Dalgarian ruin, the door opens up for me, and I'm welcomed inside to a teleporter much like the many ones I'd been through before. Except, this time, I'm taken to the Eye of the Storm, the tower that can be seen out in the ocean practically pouring magic from its apex. I enter, and I don't know what the combination is for the magic, so I fucking die like 4 times before I look up a tutorial on YouTube. So, I put all the right combinations in, and I'm able to take the Blade of Sorcery, yes that's what I'm calling it, shut up, and the structure around me begins to crumble. It's a mad dash to the door, and I manage to get in the teleporter before I'm taken down with the tower. And there you have it. I've beaten Blade and Sorcery as a Rakta Samurai. Huge thanks to Raycon for sponsoring this video. Make sure to go to buyraycon.com/ZekePlays to get up to 30% off their entire range of audio products. Shout out to all of my members, and most importantly, have a wonderful day.